Donald Trump recently suggested that if Iran did not comply with U.S. demands, there would soon be a glow in the country. In military parlance, that glow refers to the radioactive aftermath of a nuclear explosion, the most extreme threat in the American arsenal. This ultimatum follows a high-stakes 40-hour military escalation that many in Washington expected to end in a total Iranian collapse. Instead, that brief conflict stalled, ending in a ceasefire that left the regional status quo intact and signaled that a quick, conventional victory was out of reach. Why would a global superpower, possessing the most advanced conventional military on Earth, resort to nuclear blackmail against a regional opponent after only 2 days of fighting? The shift toward nuclear threats indicates that the existing U.S. strategy is no longer working. Tehran has successfully dismantled the old equation of deterrence, forcing Washington to abandon conventional logic and lean on its most desperate deterrent. For years, the Middle East operated under a rule of proportionality. If a drone was shot down, a drone was targeted in return. It was a predictable, contained cycle of violence that allowed both sides to avoid a full-scale war. Iran has officially discarded that model. Their new doctrine dictates that any strike on their territory will instantly trigger a massive, simultaneous assault on every American base, command center, and logistics hub in the region. This isn't just a military shift, it's a diplomatic weapon. Tehran has sent direct warnings to the Gulf nations to host these American installations, effectively putting their neighbors on the front line of any U.S.-led escalation. The message to these regional allies is blunt. The United States cannot defend its own outposts from Iranian missiles, so it cannot guarantee your security. By exposing this vulnerability, Iran is attempting to break the decades-old alliance between Washington and the Gulf states, positioning itself as the only power capable of maintaining order in the Middle East. Behind the public threats of nuclear glows is a quiet logistical nightmare. The United States military is rapidly running out of the very weapons it needs to fight a conventional war. Data from the Center for Strategic and International Studies reveals that in just 6 weeks, the U.S. exhausted a staggering 45% of its precision-guided missile inventory. It is a burn rate that no modern industrial base can keep up with. Defensive stockpiles are in even worse shape. The military has already fired roughly half of its total supply of Patriot missile interceptors, the primary defense against Iranian aerial attacks. This depletion extends to the elite THAAD systems. These are high-value, slow-to-produce assets, and every tube fired leaves the U.S. military more exposed to a saturation strike. Military veterans like Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson suggest this hardware crisis is being downplayed, pointing to a potential cover-up of casualties and the sheer chaos of entering a conflict without a clear strategic timeline. The math is inescapable. The United States physically lacks the inventory of precision munitions and interceptors required to win a sustained conventional war against a nation as heavily armed as Iran. Tehran is fully aware of this hardware shortage, and they are using that knowledge to expand their diplomatic demands. They no longer consider their nuclear program the only topic on the table. Iran is now leveraging its geographic power to rewrite the rules of the Strait of Hormuz, effectively demanding the right to dictate how global oil flows through this critical choke point. Their influence now stretches all the way to the Mediterranean. They are demanding security guarantees for Lebanon as a prerequisite for any broader regional de-escalation. Tehran has successfully pivoted from a nation under siege to the regional hegemon, dictating the terms of security for the entire Middle East. This depletion of American power has global consequences. Senator Mark Kelly warns that by exhausting these critical missile stocks in a regional skirmish, the United States has severely compromised its ability to deter major adversaries like China in the Western Pacific. This leaves us with a dangerous disconnect. Political leaders still presenting maps of a new Middle East, while the military reality on the ground has shifted entirely in Iran's favor. Nuclear blackmail isn't a sign of strength. It is the final, desperate tactic of a superpower that has run out of missiles, lost its strategic edge, and been fundamentally outmaneuvered by its opponents.